Hello, my angels. It's time for story again. I'm going to read you a story that I'm sure you know, but hopefully this one's a little different than the one you know. And it's called Lady and the Tramp. And it goes like this. There's Lady. She was a lucky little cocker spaniel. She had everything a dog could want. Her beloved owners, their names were Jim Dear and Darling, and they had pampered her since she was a puppy. They gave her the tastiest tidbits to eat and the softest bed to sleep in, and they showered her with lots of love and affection. Lady returned their kindness by waking her master each morning with a gentle lick on the cheek, and while he was at work, Lady stayed close to her mistress, protecting her from possible harm. One day, everything changed. As Lady told her friends, Trusty and Jock, Darling now seemed more interested in the tiny sweater she was knitting than in her faithful friend. Lady's pals quickly put two and two together, and they figured out that Darling was going to have a baby. Babies are mighty sweet, Trusty the bloodhound said. And very, very soft, Jock the Scotty added. Why, a wee baby is nothing but a bundle of trouble, an unfamiliar voice chimed in. There's the bloodhound, and that one's a Scotty. And here comes the tramp, who said trouble. Babies are trouble, he said. The voice belonged to a scruffy stranger named Tramp. Though Tramp had no family of his own, he seemed to know quite a lot about babies, and none of it was good. Take it from me, Pigeon, Tramp told Lady. That's his pet name for her. He calls her Pigeon. Take it from me, Pigeon. A human heart has only so much room for love and affection. When a baby moves in, the dog moves out. Although Tramp's words worried Lady, she couldn't believe her family would ever be unkind to her. And once the baby was born, Lady saw just how wrong Tramp had been. For not only did Lady still have her people's love, she now had one more person to cherish and to protect. Everything was fine until Jim Dear and Darling decided to take a short holiday. Don't worry, old girl, Jim Dear told Lady before they left. Aunt Sarah will be staying here to care for you and the baby. Ooh, doesn't Aunt Sarah look stern? But Aunt Sarah soon made it clear that she did not like dogs at all. To make matters worse, she had brought her two nasty cats along. Lady watched helplessly as they wrecked the living room and terrorized the goldfish and the bird. Dear. When the cats headed upstairs, however, Lady sprang into action. She raced ahead to stop them from going into the nursery where the baby was. The nasty creatures tried to run by her, but Lady stopped them in their tracks with a threatening growl. Aunt Sarah heard the commotion and poked her head out of the nursery. She took one look at Lady growling and the two cats snivelling, and she ran to protect her pets. Oh, my precious pussy cats, she crooned, and scooping the cats up in her arms, she carried them gently downstairs. Then Aunt Sarah dragged Lady off to the pet store. I want a muzzle for this vicious beast, she said. I have just the thing, the clerk replied, placing one of the awful contraptions over the struggling dog's face. In desperation, poor Lady ran out of the store. So, outside, a pack of stray dogs began to chase her. Horns blared and tires screeched as Lady raced blindly through the streets, across the railway tracks, and into a strange and scary part of town. There are dogs coming behind her because they don't know her. She's in their territory. With her heart pounding, Lady ran on with the strays yapping at her heels. Just when she felt she couldn't take another step, a brown ball of fur rushed to her side. Biting and barking, Tramp fought off ladies' attackers until every last one had turned tail and slunk away. Isn't that a good friend? Tramp helped Lady to remove the hateful muzzle, and then she told him her tale of woe. "Oh, poor Pidge," she said, when she had finished her story. Remember, he calls her Pigeon now. He's calling her Pidge for short. "You sure have had a terrible day. What you need is a night out on the town to cheer you up." And Tramp led Lady to a quaint little Italian restaurant. They shared a delicious plate of spaghetti and meatballs while musicians serenaded them with a romantic tune. Doesn't that look fun? I'm sure that made her feel a lot better. After dinner, Lady and Tramp took a moonlight stroll. When they came to a patch of wet cement, Tramp scratched a big heart in the middle and placed one of his paws inside it, and Lady did the same. A silvery moon was high in the sky when the two tired dogs finally snuggled up under a tree and fell fast asleep. When they awoke the next morning, Lady was horrified to realize she'd spent the whole night away from home. "Oh, Pidge," Tramp said, "there's a big wide world out there just waiting for us. Why go back at all?" "Because my people need me," Lady replied, "and I need them. Besides, who will protect the baby if I'm not there?" Tramp had no answer for that. He simply bowed his head in defeat, and even though Lady was sad to leave Tramp, she could hardly wait to return to her family. But when Lady got home, an angry Aunt Sarah was waiting for her. "I have a special place for you now," Aunt Sarah snapped as she led Lady to a doghouse in the backyard. "This should keep you out of trouble," she said, chaining Lady to a stake in the ground. Now she's got a chain and she can't run away. She's staked in the ground. That night, Lady was moping around the yard when a big grey rat scurried out of the woodpile, scampered up the porch railing, and darted into an open upstairs window. There's Lady there. She could see him on top of the roof. "That's the baby's room," Lady cried, and she dashed forward, but was jerked to a painful halt by her chain. She couldn't go any further. Lady began barking frantically to attract Aunt Sarah's attention. Aunt Sarah finally appeared at the back door, but only to yell at Lady. "Stop that racket," she said, before slamming the door shut again. Just then Tramp raced into the yard. He had heard Lady barking, and he had come to help her once more. "There's a rat in the baby's room," Lady said, and with no thought for his own safety, Tramp ran inside to get the rat. Tramp finally reached the nursery in the nick of time. While the baby lay sleeping in the crib, the rat was ready to pounce. Tramp struck first. Fur flew and furniture fell as dog and rat tore around the room. The rat was fast and furious, but he was no match for Tramp. By the time Aunt Sarah burst in, there was no sign of the rat, just Tramp and the topsy-turvy room. Aunt Sarah thought that Tramp had been after the baby, and she quickly called the dog catcher. "Don't come back, you vicious brute," Aunt Sarah warned as Tramp was carried off to the pound. Oh dear, he chased the rat off and she didn't see the rat, so she doesn't know. She doesn't know what was happening. As soon as Lady explained what had happened, Trusty and Jock took off after Tramp. Remember Trusty the bloodhound and Jock the little Scotty? They chased the dog catcher through the dark and stormy night. When a taxi appeared out of the fog, The dog catcher's horses reared up. They got such a fright when the taxi came. So they reared up. Can you see the lights shining on them? And they got a big fright. And the wagon toppled over. Jim Deer and Darling were in the taxi. They had come home and discovered the rat. It was clear then that Tramp had been protecting the baby, and they went after him. He was a true hero. So Jim Deer and Darling were in the taxi, and they had seen the rat running away. Jim Deer and Darling decided to take Tramp into their home. "This is where you belong," Jim Deer told Tramp. "You're part of our family now." And soon Lady and Tramp had a family of their own. 3 little puppies who looked just like their mother, and one mischievous scamp who clearly took after his father. He has 3 little puppies. They look just like their mum. 1, 2, 3. They look just like Lady. And this one, oh, that's the mischievous one. And his name is Scamp. Looks just like his dad. The end. They lived happily ever after, I'm sure. I hope you enjoyed that, my darlings. Do sleep tight, all cuddled up, and have sweet dreams. I love you lots. Bye-bye.